that is the life that you're living, if you're just going through the motions, I would say, first of all, figure out, hey, what's your purpose? What's your drive? What's your motivation? What makes you want to get up every morning and do whatever it is that you're doing? Yeah, here's the thing. I don't care if it's underwater basket weaving, if it's, you know, playing the harmonica. I don't care, man. But man, if that's what it is, then focus your energy and efforts towards that.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of On the Range podcast with War HOGG Tactical and Kelley Defense. How's it going today, Rick?
Man, it's going great, Mark. Just want to thank the viewers, listeners out there for giving us your most precious commodity, your time. We couldn't be in the top 3% without you guys, so please do us a favor, pass the word on to your friends and family. Oh, by the way, make sure you guys hit that follow or subscribe button. Leave us a rating and review. I don't care if it's just a thumbs up emoji. Leave us something so that we can kind of beat that algorithm. And oh, by the way, if you guys are not aware, we've got a Patreon page as well to give you some insight access to On the Range podcast, some early episode exposure. So make sure you guys go to patreon.com/On the Range podcast. And yeah, man, join the team and see all the good stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah, man, we did a little pre-production behind the scenes for him today. We really got that dialed in. Yeah, man, I hope everybody goes check that out, tells their friends about it. It's a great deal, and we're having a lot of fun with it. I think it's working out really well. So yeah, just go give it a check. Yeah, there's some free content. Check it out, see what you think. Mm-hmm. So today, everybody, this episode is brought to you by Killcliff. Go to killcliff.com and use promo code OTR15. Save yourself a boatload of cash on some fantastic energy drinks with ingredients that do not suck. Don't have all those terrible sugars and all that other artificial flavors. It's just great stuff. Oh, and by the way, they support the Navy SEAL Foundation. Been doing it a long time. We're proud to be partners up with Killcliff. They help us on a lot of our training events, and man, just a great partner. So are you rocking one today? I did not bring one this time, but my favorite is the Blood Orange Recovery. Mm-hmm. That's definitely my favorite. Love it.
You know, they're all quite tasty. You know, the Flamin' Joe with that, pineapple and jalapenos.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Favorite. You know, waiting for the Kiwi one once that shipment comes in. I'm sure that'll be scrumptious as well. But like you said, a good support of the show, good support of our free law enforcement training events that we guys do. And oh, by the way, since you brought up the Navy SEAL thing, I got to put this inject in there.
Yeah.
So I was on Mike Ritland's podcast. As you guys know, he is a Navy SEAL. And here's the thing. Got a lot of respect for him right out the gate. Why? Because as he's doing the intro, what's he say? The co-host of On the Range podcast. So, it's nice when another podcaster puts that plug in there. He didn't have to, right?
Yeah,
but it was like,
that's right.
So Mike, if you're sitting there listening to ours, greatly appreciate it, buddy. So
yeah. Can't wait to tune that in. That viewed. It just came out, didn't it? Just came out today. So
yeah, it's a recent release.
Yep, gonna go ahead and check that out. And one other partner I'd like to mention before we get started is the Battle Brothers Shaving Company. Andy Weiss has a great company over there. His shaving items are premium shaving items. They got beard care, beard oil. Rick uses those. I use I think it's the MK19 razor. It is made out of the same aluminum that they used to make the Blackhawks that he flew in the Army. Just a great story. He does a lot of outreach as well. So go check that out. Use promo code On the Range 15. Save yourself 15%. It's a cool item. Use those razors that your grandfather used and have a blast with them. But they're cool, man. They're a throwback, and treat yourself, guys. Your lady friends will love you for it. So today, Rick, we had a discussion for the Patreons to listen to, and
Mhm.
we're going to post this on the Patreon page as soon as we're done. And this is something that we talk about quite a bit. And
Mhm.
you put it well when you said it just seems that sometimes people are just going through the motions.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was kind of funny because our last free LEO training event we did,
Yeah, great event, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, so there's one particular event in there, or drill or whatever you want to call it. And I give these guys instructions. I tell them, hey, here's the drill. Here's what we're doing. And I caveat with, oh, you're going to screw it up. And then I give them the instructions one more time.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to understand, and typically that first go around, everyone screws it up and we stop and we use it as a teaching point. But I sit there and go, especially for my LE guys, right? You're in a job that will kill you. You're out here, hopefully, to try to build your skill set that, God forbid, you're ever in a gunfight, you can finish it quickly and efficiently. And oh, by the way, go home to your family. So it was just, whether it's talking about a follow-up side picture, I mean, just so many things we can hit on, but it's just like you're out there going through the motions. And I sit there and go, how many people are just doing that in life? Just letting life pass them by, just going through the motions, not trying to get a little better, not, doing anything for themselves, for their family, for society, for anything. It's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
And, for me, it's become kind of frustrating, because a bunch of people will try to reach out for stuff. Hey, how do I get better? How do I do this? How do man, the first step is with you. And I think the biggest key is you got to find out what's your driving purpose, you know? And I question some of my law enforcement officers that's out there. They're in a very tough profession, 100%. But are you in it to win it, or are you just going through the motions to collect a paycheck? And I would just caution you, if you're in it going through the motions just to collect a paycheck and you're not trying, especially there, to enhance your skill set, you might wind up getting yourself killed for, however the situation plays out. And I got it. I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback any incidents, but I'm going to say this: you've got to do something where you're constantly enhancing your skill set. Just don't go through the motions and show up to work. Um, are you doing anything with your hands? Because yes, I'm a huge proponent of firearms. However, not all altercations are going to, need deadly force to deal with. But if you're unskilled with your hands, you're going to wind up in a pinch. So are you even doing that? Or are you just going through the motions?
Yeah.
Um, there's so many things that you can go on. And again, I'm not trying to smash my LEOs, but it was just a prime example. Like, we were talking about it beforehand. Gave them the instructions, clearly told them, you're going to screw this one up. So you would think that it would have grabbed these guys and go, oh, let me pay closer attention. Nope, still
Yeah.
screwed it up.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the whole premise of the episode and what we were chatting about. And I know you got some comments as far as
Yeah.
that goes as well.
Well, it was a great event, and we really appreciated the guys coming out. And it is a little bit frustrating. Hey, it was hot, man, and I get it. It was steamy. There was rain. The humidity was just brutal, and yeah, it was getting close to lunchtime. I get it, but you gotta take your time to pick up what we're really laying down for you,
Mhm.
because we make it pretty simple. We go through several different drills throughout the day, but the only two things that we really want you to really kind of focus on, and we told them this flat out, is keep an open mind and try some different things. Because if you keep
Yep.
repeating what you've been doing, you're not going to see any improvement. If in fact what you're doing is the problem, try something different. The
Mhm.
second thing is find training value in everything that we do. And
Yeah.
we tell you exactly what you can do that takes minimal effort, minimal time to really pay dividends on the range when you're shooting bullets and
Mhm.
training and hitting paper targets and doing all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So we say those things, and then we end up repeating multiple things hundreds of times a day because they're not
Mhm.
doing it. And obviously people enjoy the class, and we enjoy with the exchange of information that we have with the students and those who come out to train with us. And we really believe it's an exchange. We're learning just as much as they are. I believe we really pride ourselves in training together with them and just
Mhm.
showing him what we do. So it's frustrating when we're trying to help them. And this last class, we're not really picking on this last class. This is throughout the board. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
frustrating when it seems like they're just going through the motions when they took some effort to to even show up that day because they have to get the time off. They have to go through the departments and all that other stuff.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and it's funny because there's a couple of things that I bring up, right? And whether you want to say they're Rick's pet peeves or just my way of firearms manipulation. And let's use I'm anti slingshot or coming over the top is a prime
mhm.
example. And it was funny because I tell these guys, hey, just try it. Give it a shake. I even give them the argument, hey man, if your training sergeant saying, oh, you don't have the fine motor skills, well, you can press the magazine release, but you can't hit the slide release. Okay, doesn't make sense to me, but all right. So long story short, um, there was, one of the students out there. He just couldn't get past. He was just slingshotting. That was just his thing. It was so ingrained, he couldn't stop and fix it himself. Well, when we're doing our dry fire speed magazine changes, you can't slingshot it dry unless you've got a dummy round in there, which none of these guys do. And I do it on purpose because it forces them to use that support thumb. So what's he do? He puts a mag in, go to the slingshot, realize that doesn't work, and he goes right back to using that support thumb to let it go. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, you had the answer all along. You just didn't want to listen. But it was kind of like that little aha moment. And that's kind of the point, is like you're going through the motions because we tell them straight up, hey man, this is your chance to try things out. If you're doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results.
Yeah.
So change your variables, figure out hey, does this work or doesn't work? And we'll throw little tips out there. I mean, but that was just one of those that a guy was sitting there struggling, wouldn't go. Then all of a sudden goes, oh, let me hit this. It goes,
Mhm.
and he could do the dry fire drill. So it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
just kind
it's
of,
a rare opportunity to have a day when it's not your quals, because a lot of
hmm
times that's one of maybe 2 days that they have a year sponsored by the department.
hmm
And I know it's difficult, being on these crazy shifts and going to court and then trying to make it to the range. I know it's difficult, but
sure.
we're not really paying attention to the targets. That stuff will start to dial in. We're looking for the economy of motion, the efficiency in which they're manipulating
hmm
their firearm
Yep.
and doing what they're asking. The other stuff it'll come. The
hmm
speed and the marksmanship will all come if you work these little things out.
But
So,
you got to put the time in on the dry fire side.
right.
And
That was
that
my point.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, buddy, because we asked him, hey man, how many guys are dry firing? And granted, we had one repeat customer. We won't mention who he was, but that's all right.
Mhm.
Um,
And I believe him.
but yeah, but
Yeah.
nobody else had a journal. Nobody else was dry firing. And I'm like, guys, you're carrying a gun for a living
Yeah.
that you might have to defend yourself, your partner, or the community that you're working for.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Y-
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. And
um,
that's the point I was driving at. We give you these little things that you can do that don't take up a lot of time, that
mm-mm,
will fix this stuff and make you so much more efficient and so much economical with your movements and manipulating the firearm, which, let's face it, that seems to be the big thing that a lot of folks struggle with.
mhm,
The tactical reloads and things like that. It's
yeah,
difficult for them. They don't have the opportunity to practice as much, and we're telling them how to practice.
mhm,
Even when you're just loading your firearm administratively, that's one
sure,
extra rep. Take
yeah,
advantage of it.
and I'll caveat this, I don't I'm not a big war story teller. Kind of was evident, when I was on Mike's podcast. He was kind of pulling um, for kind of war stories, and that's just not me. But you bring up a good point, and I'll kind of caveat on one. Won't get into all the details, but I'll just go into this. Uh, Clearly here today because this one guy, he had the jump on me. It was just I was in a bad situation, wasn't able to manipulate my rifle like I needed to. The thing that saved my life was he couldn't manipulate his.
Mm,
He had a folding stock AK, and it was unsafe, and he could not um, push that select lever down past that folding stock. And I watched him do it clearly 3 times as I was kind of getting over and about what I had to do, before the engagement. But it was one of those, if he had had firearms manipulation skill, Rick would have been hemmed up,
yeah.
So it's one of those, and I'm glad Mike kind of put me on the spot because that got me thinking, because we kind of tell it. I'm not a big, like I said, war story teller, but I think it's important to go, hey man, here's the importance and here's why. here today because this guy didn't have good firearms manipulation. I had obstacles I had to deal with to get to him, but that's what saved my life. And I think these guys need to understand. I think I'm going to start putting more of those kind of little tidbit, broad brush, points out there to drive the point home. Dude, that can make the difference.
Yeah.
Watch that thumb go 3 times trying to pump that thing. Just couldn't get it because of where that stock was folded. So, yeah, man, get out
Yeah.
there
There was,
and
I have a story that's very similar to that, where there was an engagement. Several rounds were fired, all on camera,
Mhm.
and this particular person did a Tacmag reload afterwards.
Mhm.
Fortunately, did not have to re-engage after took cover and did a Tacmag reload, all on video. Someone said he must have been freaked out or something. I said, no, dude, that's from practice. That's hours and hours in practice. That does not happen by accident.
Yeah.
People laying their gun on the ground, people, putting it in a wrong spot or putting their gun in the back of their pocket when they're freaked out. That's what happens, not a Tacmag reload. So
No.
that comes from practice, and he was successful in that particular incident. So, that comes from this stuff is important, and we say it over and over and over, and it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to do it. It just takes a little bit of you applying yourselves. And we're not just, again, we're reiterating that this wasn't particularly this particular class we're talking about. This is just across the board that we're trying to lay a foundation that these little things are important. So that's why we say them over and over and over. Hey guys, we've been firing a lot, man. You might want to check your ammo. 2 volleys later, there's mags hitting the ground.
Yeah.
After I told him, I tell him.
Well, see, you're more of a Santa than I am, right? Because I hear you saying it, and I wait. This is what I do. I wait till that first mag dumps, and when it hits the ground, I merely tell them, "Hey, man, ammo management is the shooter's responsibility." And I hear Santa, Mark down there. He's sitting there giving his little side of the line tips. And
I'm
like,
dropping presents under the tree a little bit,
oh,
but
dude.
I'm hoping that the wheels start to spin. I hope they start thinking for themselves, and sometimes it works.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes
it's all just different. Well, yeah, but it's all just different styles, right? So you try to get that one dump, and you just make the comment, "Hey, man, ammo management is the shooter's responsibility. We shouldn't have any mags laying on the ground right now."
Yeah.
And it kind of like, because they're so used to being told exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you remove that ability to think, to me, it greatly hinders their capability. So why is it that
capability that they do have?
Oh, 100% they have.
That's a great point, Rick. That's a great point.
But they're so in tune to being told what to do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like we tell them, before we even walk out there to shoot any bullets, man, don't treat this like a flat range. Treat this like the street. Short of me telling you, "Hey, man, shoot a mag, reload your second, because I need you to shoot that mag for a specific drill or whatever we're doing." You've got to be able to think. I mean, even with the War HOGG self-eval, it starts right there. Guys, you can see the drills out there, right? And I'm not busting people for not cyber stalking me, but you would think by now that people would knock that thing out of the park. And I don't care about it's not so much the speed, number one, looking at the accuracy is more what I care about. And then 2, there's a certain sequence to shoot it. But guys still, you still have that aha moment, or you ask, "Hey, we counting line breaks or not?" And again, I'm not going to let all the secrets out, but it's just, it's comical, man.
Well, sometimes I think they just read the bios and just move on. I'll see what, I'll take this guy's class, whatever,
Yeah. And I get it, but do a little digging to go, "Hey, man, is, at least kind of know what's up." And I mean, the self eval, that was one of those I kind of kept close hold there for a while, but then it's like I put it out, and because I think it's a great drill. I think it gives you a bunch of stuff and trying to drive points home. But anyway, the point being is, overall, it's like, don't, especially going through the motions. The flat range is not the place to go through the motions.
No.
The flat range is to go, "Hey, man, how am I improving my skill set if I ever ever am in that deadly force encounter.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like this class was good. We didn't have a whole bunch of scan and assessors. I'm not a super big fan of the scan and assess
Yeah.
because it builds artificiality, right?
Hmm.
Be able to move. If you're really going to scan something, trust me, you're going to pivot 180. And because again, most ranges don't like you turning with a firearm in your
No.
hand.
And
Well,
your gun's going to
do it.
go with you. Yeah.
Well, your gun's going to go with you.
Yeah.
There's a perfectly safe way to
Sure.
do it, right?
Hmm.
But I like to always ask, hey, what's your post shooting procedures? That gets
Yeah.
the bigger, deer in the headlights. Like, what do you mean? All right, let's just say, hypothetically, you just shot this guy and he's got a firearm and it's laying out in the street somewhere. What's to say that somebody couldn't come along and grab that thing and use it against you? I mean, you still have a tool out there that somebody could potentially use against you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, guys, come on, man. You got to be thinking about what are you doing? Where are you going? What's the next step? So
Yeah. Yeah. I was
just
extremely happy with how it turned out, and
Mhm.
a lot of good engagement and a lot of quality rounds going downrange and some
Sure.
teaching points. And yeah, it turned out great. It was difficult. The conditions were tough, and they muscled through it. We got to reel them back in a little bit every now and then, but I thought they did great. But
No, they were, yeah, they were fantastic,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
100%.
just a couple of those things we just need to push home, and just if you don't
Mhm,
take anything else away, and we say at the beginning of the class, take these things away, and
mhm.
hopefully they do, and they take it home and
Yeah. Well,
train themselves.
part of it too is getting them to think because they're
Yeah,
not typically able to do that out there.
yeah,
So, hey, man, you got to think for yourself.
yeah.
So,
One thing that everybody out there can do is they can go to the Patreon page and see a lot of the drills that Rick and I are talking about. They're on there. We talk
mhm,
about all kinds of things. There's a self eval, there's the universal safety rules, all that stuff.
mhm,
There's if you're a first time gun owner or you never picked up a gun before, handling a gun for the first time, or Rick, you had that one I thought was a great course of instruction for what to look for if you're going to purchase a firearm. There's
mhm.
all kinds of stuff on there. There's all kinds of training that you can do physically that we talk about, and we do, and then you can interact with the other patrons. So go to patreon.com/on the range podcast and check that out. So yeah, a lot of good points on that. By no means were we disappointed in the class, but we want to
Mm-mm.
make sure that those guys hear this stuff again.
Yeah, and it's just it's to drive a point home, right? So we're kind of just going through. Really, the key part is going through the motions, right? And
Yeah,
I would caution you if you're out there, if that is the life that you're living, if you're just going through the motions, I would say first of all, figure out, hey, what's your purpose, what's your drive, what's your motivation, what makes you want to get up every morning and do whatever it is that you're doing. Yeah, here's the thing: I don't care if it's underwater basket weaving, if it's you know playing the harmonica. I don't care, man. But man, if that's what it is, then focus your energy and efforts towards that. There's too many people that get stuck in these ruts and just kind of go through life, and next thing you know, they're not doing PT, or they're not exercising, or not eating right,
hmm,
or and they just start falling apart, or you're not working yourself mentally or spiritually, whatever your case may be, man. You've got to get yourself, you've got to try to make yourself better every single day. That's going to look different for everybody. There's not one um, concrete plan that's going to work for everybody. But I will tell you
no,
this:
no,
if you're just going through the motions, eh, tomorrow, tomorrow, come on, man. Tomorrow, there's going to be too many tomorrows, and it's going to be a year later, 2 years later, 4 years later. It time's going to go by, and you're like, where'd the time go? Oh yeah, our most precious commodity, because once it's burnt and gone, you can't get it back.
yeah,
So just you've got to capitalize on that. And I would say, don't just go through the motions, man. Heck, even if you just sit down and read a book, right? Reading is so good for you. Get you some education. I don't care, even if it's nonfiction, trust me, you can improve your vocabulary. A lot of good things happen with reading, but we're so digital this day and age that that's kind of gone way of the past. It's like, hey, let me catch this book in audio. Okay, that's cool. I get it. Sometimes it's efficient when you're driving to listen to an audiobook or podcast or whatever, but
sure,
there's something about reading text I think is therapeutic for your brain.
yeah, yeah.
But
And here's another thing. Let's say you're a person that that goes out there, and there does come a point where doing everything you're supposed to does become status quo. It also
Mhm,
becomes just going through the motions. How about this? You
mhm,
do something, you pick something up, you take something that we took to the brought to the class, and you got better. And
mhm.
you see someone struggling. Hey, man, try this. Help these guys out. Just passing
Yeah.
that knowledge along. There's going to be a point when you're going to be like us, and you're going to be. There's a lot less road in front of you that there is behind you, and it's good to pass that stuff on. And you
Mhm.
talk about making a difference, and you might be able to save someone's life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or just
Yeah.
make them better, make them feel better about themselves. Then they start thinking, well, I'm going to start doing this at home all the time. I'm going to
Mhm.
start dry firing. I'm going to start a physical fitness regimen. Just
Yeah.
just keep getting better every day. We talk about it all the time, and
Mhm.
yeah, great point, Rick. So,
Yeah. And kind of one last thing I wanna cover, man, is, man, I gotta thank C2R Fast for those
oh,
amazing, amazing shooter's belt. And,
dude,
I think Paul and the guys, man, here's the thing, you know, the term battle belt has been around for quite a while, and it was one of those that I never was a super fan of, nor was I really a battle belt guy. To me, it was just my rigger's belt on my pants with all my kit that I was wearing. That worked out fine. But man, I got to tell you, Paul and C2R Fast, man, those guys knocked it out of the park. That shooter's belt is impressive.
hmm
Um, I wish I knew all the specs, and I kind of asked them for it because I fully plan on doing a full YouTube video review on that one.
oh yeah,
But it's not super bulky. We were looking at some other belts that were out on the range. When you start stacking nylon on top of nylon, it starts getting very thick.
hmm
His aren't very streamlined. Load rated so that if you did have to clip into a helo or aircraft, it's got all that stuff on there. Just a awesome design belt. But really, just want to do that shout out to Paul and C2R Fast. So if you guys haven't checked them out, definitely do. Yes, he is a UK based company, but they've got options here to get stuff in the States.
I
And
do, yeah.
man,
hmm
yeah, he makes some bomber products. So I just had to
Oh
do
my
that shout
gosh,
out to those guys, and just an amazing piece of kit. So
yeah,
look forward to a review on that one.
absolutely. All right, buddy. Another one in the books, man. I think we
Yeah,
got
man.
through that one pretty good. I'm not going
Yeah.
to count anymore. We used to do, 101, 102. But yeah, I think we're past the 100 that episode's out there, and it's going to be on the Patreon page first. So
Oh
everybody
yeah.
needs to go check that out.
Get all your early access, man. That's
Yeah,
the place to go.
yeah. That's an exclusive group.
Hmm. An exclusive. So it's an exclusive men's club. Although we'll let ladies in too. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, all right, pal. Thanks for
cool, man.
joining us. Yeah,
Yeah, buddy.
man. We'll talk to you soon, Rick.
All right,
See you,
man.
everybody.
Take care.